Mr. Vrijraj Singh is GDE for Firebase and ML. Mr. Vrijraj sir is a passionate technologist and a Google developers expert in Firebase and ML. He actively contributes to the tech ecosystem through the tech format. With a track record of delivering over 400 plus talks and workshops, Vrijraj sir has shared his knowledge across numerous communities and platforms. His core expertise spans web development, Firebase, Google Cloud Platform, and UI UX design. Always eager, sir, to explore emerging technologies, sir focuses on building impactful and innovative solutions. Beyond his technical work, Sir is also deeply committed to mentoring and community building. And in his downtime, he enjoys discovering new cuisines and unwinding with YouTube videos. Sir, we are really looking forward to learn a lot from you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, with a big round of applause, let us invite our next speaker right here on the stage, who is Mr. Vrijraj Singh. Zordar taaliyan ho jaye, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Over to you, sir.
Okay, so hi everyone. Yeah, it's working. Okay, Kasakai, how are you all? So how many of you are sleeping first? किसी को कुछ नींद आ रही? हल्का सा. I'll try to make this session more interactive. So feel free to ask your questions at the end of the talks. Am I audible? Hello. Hello. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's get okay. So let's get started. So talking about myself. So my name is Vrijraj. I'm a GDE, Google Developer Expert for Firebase and the machine learning part. I'm also a part of the GDEV, Google Developer Advisory Board. I'm also a mentor for the Google for Startup. And if I talk about professionally, I work as head of developer relations team at Lematic.ai. Also, I'm running a community name is Tech for Men. So feel free to connect with me if you have questions about GCP, Firebase, web, or ML part. So I'm happy to help you. So today I'm going to talk about like functions calling part, like how we can use the concept of functions calling in the LLM and the Gemini part. So before we begin, like I would like to ask a few questions. So how many of you are right now working on a web platform part? Web technologies? Okay. JavaScript? Okay. 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 So do you have any experience with Gemini APIs, calling or integrating Gemini APIs in your projects? Okay, cool. Okay, so that's really good. So let's get started. So today in this particular sessions, I will talk about first Gemini ecosystem, large language model, and then I'll talk about the AI studio, how we can integrate, the Gemini APIs, how we can test, and then how we can, use the concept of functions calling, and we'll share the simple example, and then I'll share the Q&A, like the resources, and then we have a Q&A about, the sessions and all. So talking about the large language model, I hope you know everything about LLM, Gemini, and all. So this is just like a model which can generate. You can, you can get the data in terms of code executions. So you can do a lot of things in terms of LLM part. So we are living in a world of AI, and right now we can do a lot of things with the help of AI. You can, generate the code. You can generate the content. It's totally up to you what type of, solutions you are building. And you just need to understand the capabilities. So talking about the Gemini ecosystem, here we have a lot of capabilities, like you can use Gemini model for the code generations, writing, image generations, or you can also work on the analytics and deep data science part as well as. So talking about specifically for the Gemini ecosystem, so let's say I'm a simple non-technical users. I wanted to use Gemini. So we have a Gemini app, applications. You can use the Gemini web applications, mobile applications where you can consume Gemini models. So same with for the developers. Let's say I'm an individual developer here. I want to test, use the features, functionalities, the capabilities, then we can use Gemini, Google AI Studio. Or you can also use, if you're working with a big, large-scale company or enterprises where you have a concern about data, so you can use Google Cloud. Here we have a section called as Vertex AI part. So if I talk about specifically for the web developers, again, we have a multiple solutions. So if I talk about specifically like building a large scale or highly customizable part, then you can go with the Google Cloud Platform. You can go with the Vertex AI. Inside, you can search Model Garden and then follow the documentations and you can get started. Or just for the prototyping, understanding the capabilities, integrating the features, then you can also use Google AI Studio. And then we have an open source, the framework called as GenKit, where you can also create an open source web applications and you can integrate AI features. So it has a lot of capabilities, like you can trace, eval, you can create a flow, you can test the flow with the help of Firebase GenKit. So if I talk about the same thing, like the capabilities in terms of the Gemini models, so we have a multiple models, like if you go to the Google Cloud sections, so we have a multiple models in terms of fundamental point of view as well as the third-party services. So this is just an overview about like if you want to test the Gemini models, so you can also go for the Google AI Studio, and then you can understand the capabilities. You can do some prompt engineering part, and then you can also get the code and you can integrate those code into your applications. So this is just a simple interface where you can test, you can share the prompt, and then you can get the response. On the right side, we have a configurations part, like where you can select the models, define the temperature, you can enable the thinking capabilities, you can also define the budgets, the grounding part, the structure, response and all. So you can also try these things. And you can integrate, like there is a button called as get code. So you'll get the SDK instructions. You just need to, if you're working on a Python web development part, so you just need to follow the instructions and then you can, integrate those solutions in your existing product. So I'll give you the simple example. Let's say I'm a web developer. I'm working on a JavaScript, TypeScript or the Node.js part. So first we need to import the library. So we have imported the library for Google Generative AI. So this is Google Gen AI SDK. And then we need to initialize the instance. So here we can pass the API key. So once we have created a instance or the configuration part, so we just need to call the function's name is ai.model.generateContent, and inside you can pass the configurations, like in terms of prompt engineering. If you have a configurations part like the temperature, safety setting, you can also provide these settings inside that particular functions. So this is a simple integrations and creating simple applications with the help of Gemini APIs part. So I have also created a multiple code labs, like multiple code labs about, let's say, RAG implementations, or let's say I have a data in my Google Drive or Google Sheet. I want to pull the data, do some vectorizations, store the data into the vector data, and then you can create a chatbot, or you can also create an interactive workflow for your applications. So talking about the simple thing, let's say I have an idea about, let's say, one product or maybe one idea or the startup part, right? So right now we are in Pune. So let's start working on the applications part. So let's say I have an idea about, let's say I want to create a chatbot kind of applications where I need to pass the informations like, should I need to carry an umbrella in Pune or yes or no, right? So if you go to the Gemini and you can integrate these capabilities and you can ask the questions, it will not give you the exact response, right? But you can start integrating the Gemini API part, right? So import the SDK, collect that, the questions, and then pass the questions into the prompt, and then you can get the response. So this is a kind of example that you can implement, like should I carry umbrella in Pune or not, right? But you will not get the this kind of response, because you will get the response in terms of limited knowledge, or in terms of, let's say, the AI model don't have an idea about this kind of current data, right? So this is the kind of challenges for the developers. So this is not a good thing for, as an engineer point of view, because we want to integrate AI features. Okay. Yeah. So talking about the LLM part, we have a limitations in terms of, like, they cannot, interact with the live data, or even like you cannot get the structured response. Like if I want to get some JSON data or XML data, so you cannot get the data because you need to provide a prompt engineering part, the customizations, like give me the data in a JSON format, which will not good. But if you need a specific, like say JSON data, so this is the kind of limitations that we need to work on it, right? So again, like this is a kind of journey for right now in terms of AI technologies, like we can build the solutions, but we cannot get the desired response because we need a JSON data, or let's say we need a data from, let's say, our existing database or maybe third-party services, right? So this is again, like if I talk about as a developer, which is really good, not so good. So, but we all are the engineers, right? So that's why like function calling is a concept. So with the help of functions calling, you can get the response as a JSON data or a structured data, or you can also interact with the third party. Let's say if you have an API, if you have a data, or if you have a database, or you can connect, you can call some APIs through the functions calling part. So I'll give you the simple example. So functions calling is a simple, steps. First, we need to create a functions. You need to define a functions. Let's say I am in Pune. So first, I need to create a functions like to collect the weather informations. So get weather information is a kind of functions. Then we need to, wrap the functions inside the tooling part, and then, provide the tools to the Gemini, and that's it. So Gemini will, check, do we have any functions related to the weather services? So Gemini will identify the functions, and then it will call the functions, and then you can get the data. So I'll give you the simple example again. So this is a lifestyle in terms of like, first, let's say, if I ask anything, let's say, should I carry umbrella in Pune or something? So we share the prompt, and then we'll go to the, the tooling part. The Gemini will check, do we have any, functions or the tools are available inside the logic. If we have any functions, inside functions, you can define the definitions. Let's say call some data from the REST APIs, collect the data from the database, or if you have a document repository, you can also collect the data. It's totally up to you how you can write the business logic. So, कुछ समझ में आया? Okay. Okay, so I'll give you the simple example again. So this is a concept for functions definitions. So first we need to create a functions definitions. So this is the type of functions which AI will understand. As a human, we have a high level language like functions, and then you need to define the functions, parameter and all. So this kind of functions which AI will understand. So this is the kind of functions definitions where we need to provide the functions. So my functions name, the descriptions, and the types of parameters. So let's say this function definition is for the weather services. So here we'll pass the city name. So this is the functions definition. And now we need to apply the business logic. From this functions definitions, we need to apply the business logic. Well, let's say Gemini will identify this, the functions definitions. Now we need to call the functions name is called as get weather services. So here you can write the logic for API calling, collect the data from the database or third-party integrations. It's totally up to you what type of business logic you wanted to write. And then the last step is more about like Gemini will figure out like do we have any functions available inside the the parameters. So if there is any functions available, it will give me the functions. You need to identify the functions, and then you can call the functions through the code implementations part. So this is a simple step. Like there are only 3 steps. And you can easily build any interactive applications, or you can collect the data from the live data source, or you can do multiple use cases part. So there are a lot of things that you can build with the help of functions calling part. So there are multiple use cases, like if you want to get a data from structure as a JSON outcome, you can also use the concept of functions calling. Or if you want to get the data from the real-time interface, let's say database or maybe APIs part, the business logic part, you can also implement those things. Or you can also work on the automations, customer support agents, or the employee search tool. So again, there are endless capabilities. You just need to understand like what type of solutions you want to build, and then you can use the concept of functions calling, define the functions, define the business logic, and pass the functions to the the tool path. So there are multiple use cases like go for the finance, business, database. So here we have endless opportunities that you can build the solutions. So I'll give you the simple example, like this is the function definitions for the currency. Let's say if I ask the questions like I have 1000 INR, I want, let's say USD. So how much it will be, the conversion part. So you can, share the NLP, the normal, the questions, and then AI will understand the questions. AI, the Gemini will check, do we have any services or the functions are available related to the currency conversion. So it will, convert the currency and then it will give you the data. Same with the appointment booking. You can also create an interactive chatbot, like create a, book an appointment or create a calendar block for, let's say, X user at which particular time period. So you can, give this particular instructions. AI will identify, do we have any, functions available for the appointment part, and then you can call those, booking related things. So this is the simple example I've created, like the currency conversion, like you can, pass the simple questions, like convert 100 rupees or maybe 1000 rupees or 2000 rupees into INR, or let's say USD. So Gemini will figure out, like, is there any functions that are available inside my, system? It will call the functions, you will get the data, and then you can, share the data into the UI part. Okay, so this is a simple, code lab I've created, like how we can, get started with the functions calling part. You just need to scan this QR code. You can also try at your end, at your home. Just a simple example like currency conversion, appointment booking, or let's say workflow automations. Let's say customer engineering support kind of, automations that you can also create with the help of functions calling. Or you can also create a multi-agent kind of system with with the help of tools and all. Okay, so again, like I have a lot of code labs. So if you want to, integrate functions calling with Firebase, with Vertex AI part, the poem generations, workflow automations, collecting a data from third-party services, create a chatbot, or implementing some RAG. So you can also check out these code labs are available. So talking about the resources, I would like to recommend you to go for the Google AI. Check the documentations about the each models, the capabilities, embedding models, as well as follow the documentations and start working on the implementing those things. And also I have a code labs on the graders. You can also check out those code labs. And then we have another code labs for the Firebase for web, where you can work on the complete AI related kind of features with the help of Firebase part. And also I have multiple articles over the Medium. You can also check out about the automations, automating pipeline with NA10 or multiple source integrations kind of things. So you can also try those things. So I hope you learned something new. कुछ समझ में आया? Right. So feel free to connect with me if you have any questions about ML, AI, or the Firebase part. I'm happy to help you in terms of mentorship and all. So yeah, feel free to connect with me or the social media as well as. And this is my website. I have written multiple articles about AI integrations, creating a chatbot, services, RAG implementations. So you can also check out my website and the links for the blogs and all. And yeah, I'm looking forward to you to build amazing solutions with the help of AI, functions calling and all. And yeah, so kuch samajh mein aaya hoga, right? So that's all. And thank you so much, GDG Cloud Pune team for having me. And yeah, it's time for the questions. Yeah.